Everybody needs a good place to get their work done, right? Well, today I'm going to show you how I built my own standing desk so I could really stretch out and have the kind of workspace I needed. It's a simple to build design using readily available materials that you can build with no complex joinery. Check it out and see what I made. For this project, I wanted to make a 24-inch deep desk. It was going to be a corner desk, so I thought something simple like some 2x6 spruce would be really nice. I started by running them through the table saw to trim off the rough edges, and I just needed to get about a ½ inch off so that I get down to my 24-inch requirement for the desk. Then it was just for one pass on the jointer to get one side smooth and level as much as I could. I was going to be doing a lot of sanding here, and I wanted to eliminate as much as possible. The next step was to dry fit everything, and since I didn't have a work table big enough to build this corner desk, I was going to have to do it on the floor and make sure everything fit just right. This is where my years of Tetris came in especially handy. To avoid warping of the desk, you always want to check and make sure you alternate the crown pattern of each board. One faces up, the next one faces down. That helps everything level out and stay nice and flat. For my glue up, I decided to use Titebond 2. I could have used Titebond 1 or any other wood glue, but this is what I had in the shop and it was more than sufficient. And I wanted to make sure you could get everything glued up in time. This is a fairly large glue up. I decided to glue this up in 2 pieces. I'm not going to connect them at the joint because that was just going to be too complicated, plus end grain does not glue up and attach as well as edge grain does, so I knew that my end grain joints would be particularly weak. But I needed to have both set in place so that I could really make sure I've got the right spacing of all my 2x6s and make sure everything lines up so I've got a good clean joint there in the center. I used a little wax paper here and there to make sure that things I did not want glued together did not get glued together. It took a lot of sanding to get everything leveled out once my glue joints were dry, but I just grabbed a Rotex 150, put some 24 grit on there, and worked my way up 24, 60, 80, 120 until I got something nice and smooth and level that I needed. I wanted a way to be able to take the 2 pieces apart very easily, so to join these together, I didn't want to do complex joinery or anything like that. I decided a 7/16 piece of OSB underneath here would be the best way to go. It's super simple and it was a little bit of a test to see if this would actually work, and it ended up working out just fine. I'm sitting at the desk today editing this video and it hasn't fallen apart on me in a couple months, so there's the proof. I decided to screw it in at least every 6 to 8 inches, making sure that the OSB went into each board at least a few times. I wanted as much strength here as I could have, and I didn't want to use any adhesives either so that I could take this apart when I decided to move to a new office. Then it was time to fill some of the knot holes and any of the gaps in the board. I used Minwax high performance wood filler. I wanted something that would fill and finish rather quickly so I could get to sanding. The joint between the 2 boards, I had a few joints there that were a little bit larger than I wanted and I needed to fill those as well, but mostly it was knot holes. That meant a little bit more finish sanding to sand down the wood filler, and then we were ready for finishing. My favorite part. For the finish, I put on 2 coats of my own special blend. I mixed together boiled linseed oil, a little bit of satin polyurethane, and also some mineral spirits to make a really nice wiping oil varnish that penetrates and leaves a hard finish in the wood. The spruce was pretty soft, so I needed something that would give us just the right finish. And 2 coats of this in one day, let it dry for about 24 hours, you're good to go. Once the finish had cured, I just buffed on 1 coat of Minwax finishing wax to give it that final polished look. So how was I going to put this thing together? I decided to make the legs out of some 3/4 inch galvanized piping, and I was going to have to cut that tight because I could find it only in 48 inch or 36 inch, which neither of them was the right height. It comes with a lot of gunk on those galvanized pipes, so I just took some mineral spirits and really wiped them down good before it was ready to paint them. I screwed them into these 3/4 inch floor flanges since one side was threaded, and got them ready for some black spray paint so everything would look nice and cohesive. Then to attach it to the wall, I just decided to use a 2x4 ledger board. I was going to get it level, make sure it is absolutely level, and put it at the right height for me so this could be a standing desk. Then I just went through and put a couple screws into each stud so that it was supported, and I had something to rest my desk on. I wanted to put a couple of battens on each end, so I just cut some scrap 2x4, beveled the edges, and screwed it into each of the sides here. This is where my galvanized steel piping legs are going to be mortised into. This also served to add some extra support on the far ends of the desk. Then I took a 3/4 inch Forstner bit for my 3/4 inch galvanized piping to fit into, and drilled it down just a 1/2 inch. Once the desk was set in place and the legs were on, I put a couple of these brackets on either side just to keep it from moving around and make sure it was secured to the ledger boards. Once the desk was fully installed, I needed to take a spade bit and drill a big enough hole that I could fit all my plugs and cords down here through the back side behind where my computer would sit. It took a little work, but I finally had the space I needed to stretch out and get my work done. The desk was large enough to work together with my team at, and I never run out of room anymore. Plus, it's a fun conversation piece when people visit. All told, it cost me just under $240 for everything, and this desk is something anyone can build. You pick the size, you pick the finish, you pick the wood, and this can be your desk. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope you'll subscribe so you can get more awesome content like this to help you DIY better. Check out the links in the description below and follow me on Instagram. Whether you want fun projects like this desk or easy to follow tutorials on how to fix up your old house, this is the place for you.